Okay, let's go ahead and get everything going. Okay, I am sitting in Smithville right now, and I'm going to go ahead and do a flight over the Bastrop State Park and over to some of the land that burned down in Labor Day fires a couple years ago. And we're going to cruise towards Lake Bastrop, cruise over Bastrop, and then we're going to fly around to Austin Bergstrom International Airport. So the very first thing I'm going to do is just check out my aircraft. I'm going to be looking, I'm in a Cessna 172. I'm going to check my flaps. Yep, they work. Put them at 10 degrees. Check my ailerons. They work. Okay. And I guess we're just going to go ahead and taxi. So reduce the parking brake. And let's go ahead and start getting moving. There's the wind sock right there. It's telling me the wind is blowing this direction. So if the wind is blowing this direction, I want to take off into it. So I'm going to go down all the way to this side of the runway, all the way to the south side, and we'll take off going north. And this is an uncontrolled airport, so no need for radio communication. Just checking everything for takeoff. Let's go ahead and set the heading bug to 35. That's runway heading. That's also coincidentally the runway heading in Austin Bergstrom. Going way too fast for the taxiway, but that's fine. Set takeoff trim. This is our trim right here. Okay. Let's go ahead and get on the runway. The Cessna is going to be looking for a takeoff speed of about 70 knots. It'll just want to climb right off the runway. So full power. Steering with the rudder right now. So driving with your feet. 60. And rotate. And positive rate of climb. Flaps up. The best rate of climb for this aircraft is 74 knots. That just means where it's most efficient. We're going to go up to about 2,000 feet and then level off. This is Highway 21 right here. You can see it also extending off to my left. Or, no, Highway 71. Sorry, that's the one that goes out towards Tahitian. And this is Bastrop State Park in front of me, all these trees. all I'm doing is watching my speed, watching my climb rate, and then watching my altitude, passing 1500 right now. And because I know the area, I know there's a couple of fire breaks that have power lines ran from them. One of them leads to Bastrop, and one of them leads to the lake. So I'm going to just fly over one, and then I'm going to take the one that leads to Lake Bastrop. And Lake Bastrop is dead east of Austin. It's 090 degrees, literally from Lake Bastrop to Austin. Okay, coming up on 2,000 feet, so I'm going to just level off. And I'm looking for a cruising speed of about 100, 105 knots, something like that. So we're going to trim the nose down quite a bit. And back off the power. Here's that first fire break, Highway 21, second fire break. Okay, gonna go ahead and initiate our first turn. And basically I'm just going to fly parallel to that fire break, so the same course, just alongside it. There's the airport I took off from right there. And Lake Bastrop's dead ahead. You can look out my right window and see this is all gone now, but that's what used to be there. Visibility is actually quite low this morning. Looks like there's fog, a whole bay of low-level clouds. I'd say about 1,000, 2,000 feet. That's quite obscuring visibility quite a lot. I'd say I can see about 10 miles. Okay, and I'm climbing still. I'm going to keep taking it up. And we'll go ahead and set the autopilot just because we're going to be on this course for quite some time. So we'll engage the autopilot with an initial altitude 3,500 feet. And altitude, disengage the heading, and the plane will pretty much fly with just, it'll try to maintain 3,500, so I'm going to climb until I get to here, and then it's going to level off, and you're going to see the speed needle start to drastically go up, and then I just controlled that with my power, my throttle. Looking outside the plane, there's Lake Bastrop. It's a horseshoe lake, and it's at my 11 o'clock. And this lake's built with a power plant on it. That's why it's super hot there. We're coming up on 3,300 feet. And I'd say we're about 2 miles to the east of Lake Bastrop. Bastrop itself is literally right next to it, that area right there. I used to have a handheld phone that you could, you could look and you could say, hey, what's this road? And, it'll give you your flight sim location relative to GPS. And I guess what I'm trying to say is the flight sim's really accurate. Like, let me just do a little S-turn here. Like this road, I believe this is 95, and it runs to the north shore of the lake. And then this big road should be 21, and it should be running towards the south shore of the lake right here. And there's the lake right there in front of me. And we should be heading right towards Bastrop now, this civilized area right here. Okay, so we've hit 3,500 feet. So the plane with autopilot is going to tell it to put the nose down, which is going to cause a natural rate of speed increase. All it really means is that I'm going to watch this needle, and I'm not going to let it get into the yellow, because then I'm going too fast and I might snap a damn wing off the plane or something. And we can look at my right window. There's the power plant outlet in the lake. That's the north shore of the lake. And I'm right over the lake right now. Here's what it looks like on my left window. That's the south shore of the lake. Highway 21, South Shore Road, somewhere right in here. But we're past the lake, so we are going to turn to a bearing of 090. And I'll just set the bearing indicator for that. 090. Click the autopilot in the heading mode. And the plane is actually flying itself right now. So we're going to fly 090, and we're going to come in basically behind the airport. Here is the city of Bastrop, right here. A little bit south of my aircraft's location. Somewhere down there is Highway 71. I think this might be it right here. And here it is again on my right wing. And that leads into Austin. The next major road that I'll come across is, I believe, FM 812. If that's the road that the Circuit of the Americas is built on. Because, I mean, that's not in the game, but the road is in the game. And we'll be passing along that side of the airport. Here's our speed. We're going about 110 knots. All that means is that we don't have a tailwind or a good headwind. I look at our ground speed, and it pretty much matches our airspeed, give or take 10 miles an hour. Okay, so this purple right here, this is the Austin Bergstrom airspace. So it's a transition. I'm in Class B, Class Bravo airspace right now, which just means uncontrolled airspace or airspace with a regional air traffic controller. I'm not going to do any of the radio work or worry about that right now because it's just needlessly complicated to set up. But what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to fly into the airport, which is going to be appearing here relatively soon, probably 25, 35 miles out. I'm going to fly straight in at the bearing of 090 or west, or 270 or west. I'm going to descend as I approach the airport, and I should only have to make one right turn to put myself lined up with the runway. Now, Bergstrom has two runways. It has 35 right and 35 left. So I'm going to be coming in this way, dead west. Here's 35 right and 35 left. I'm going to take a right turn to put myself going dead north, or 350 or 360, and then I'll be lined up for runway heading. And if necessary, I'll do some S-turns or anything like that if I'm going too fast or too slow or whatever the case may be. first thing I'm going to do as I approach the airspace is I know that I'm going really fast and I've got a lot of altitude to lose. So since we're in the autopilot, I'm just going to tell the autopilot to go ahead and start descending. And I'm going to tell it to descend to 2,500 feet. And then I'm just going to watch my speed, make sure I don't break the plane. If my speed ever gets too fast, all I have to do with the autopilot on is just back the throttle just a little bit. I also want to be able to manually control the direction of the plane, so I'm going to take it out of heading mode and I'm going to go ahead and start making some adjustments. Turn to a heading of about 250 degrees. Now, if the Circuit of the Americas was in Flight Simulator, it would be right here. This is the road that runs behind the airport. It connects to US 183 further down the road. But this is right where it would be. Okay, just keeping an eye on all of our gauges. Speed looks good. We're falling at 700 feet per minute. Now, as far as my approach, once I get closer to the airport and I actually get handed off to the air traffic controller at the Austin Bergstrom Tower, my main focus is going to be slowing down the airplane so I can apply flaps and initiate slow flight while steadily descending, and that's basically it. With an aircraft like this, it's pretty easy to control. This aircraft also has a very low stall speed. I think it's 45 knots, but it's essentially standing still almost. The aircraft, it's really hard to wreck. Okay, all I'm doing now is keeping my eyes peeled for the airport somewhere over here. And I'm taking up a west course. You can see my heading bug. And I'm going to go ahead and move the heading bug to my next turn, which is going to be dead north. That's just so I have a visual indicator of it whenever I turn. Okay, we've approached 2,500 feet, which means I should expect the airplane to start slowing down. I'm going to slow it down some more, take off some power, bring it down to 1,600 feet. Because we're again descending, the airplane wants to pick up speed, and I just manage that with my power. Drastically cutting power to about 30%. I can expect the airplane to drop down 700 feet per minute, and the speed should either maintain or decrease until we get to 1,600 feet. There's 2,000 feet. Keeping myself on that west heading. Now I still can't even see the airport. Visibility's too low. There's 1,750. $17. $1,600. Okay, I'm going to do a couple things at once. I'm going to disengage the autopilot, so it's no longer going to maintain altitude. I'm going to reassert control of the aircraft. Just Just make sure my trim and stuff isn't messed up from Autopilot. And what I'm doing now is I'm just putting the nose of the aircraft up to slow it down. I can see the runway. There it is. Like I said, we're going to come straight in, and we're going to take a 90-degree turn to the right. Putting the nose up even more. Slow the airplane down. And we're going to go ahead and do the first stage of flaps. Aircraft is slowing down. Okay. What we're looking for in this descent is that we're falling at a rate reasonable between 0 and 500 feet per minute, maintaining a speed between, I'd say, 70 and 80 knots. And you just manage that with power, trim, and yoke. We go ahead and do the second stage of flaps. Do a little more power, because I see we still have a ways to go. There's our runway. Lots of small adjustments now. I want to make sure that I'm falling out of the sky, going forward fast enough, and that I'm going to hit the ground in time. You can see the runway on our right wing. Okay. Going ahead and initiate that right-hand turn. Line us with the runway heading 350. I'm a little high on my glide slope according to the poppy lights. When they're all white, it means you're going you're a little high on the glide slope. As they turn red, you can tell that you're approaching the glide slope. So about right there is good. Now I'm focusing on my aircraft's speed, rate of descent, and making sure that I'm going to make it to the runway. Again, I'm looking for 0 and 500 feet per minute, 70 to 80 knots on my approach, and as I land, I want to make sure that I'm going as slow as possible. Avoid these trees. Everything's looking real good. Back the throttle off a little bit more to shed some more airspeed. Right before touchdown, I'm going to cut off power. Try to reduce airspeed even more by doing a slight flare. Try to make the back wheels touch down first. So, cut off power. Plenty of runway. Do a flare. There's the flare. We're going 50. Stall any second. Real rough landing. Real bad. But we made it here. We are in Austin.